Hey horror fans, welcome back to Room 237. This is John coming at you with another slasher film review. And I guess it's a slasher film, but pretty notorious film. And that is Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, aka Nightmare or Nightmares. I'm not sure which title it's more widely known as, but I've always known it as Nightmares in a Damaged Brain. The most disturbing film ever released. I don't know about that. Had potential. I also don't know why it's called Nightmares in a Damaged Brain X. Also has X on the spine. I'm guessing because this is uncut, unrated. Now, this film was notorious when it came out. This was one of the 72 video nasties. Kept going in and out of print, kept getting hard to find, kind of rare. Actually, I bought this off eBay back in 2010 because no place had it, sorry. And I was very interested in seeing it. I'll get into why. There's a story behind it. But then the next year, 2011, was when the, I think it was Scream Factory or Anchor Bay, one of them, released the 30th anniversary. And still, it's not a movie a whole lot of people talk about. I mean, it's known as one of the biggest video nasties, or it's up there with Maniac for being one of the sleaziest films ever. And, I mean, just the reviews on the Internet Movie Database. Nightmares and Damaged Brain is almost too demented for words. HysteriaLives.co.uk oozes sleaze. Daily Star, a fearful film. Variety, 90 minutes of total terror. Now, I've been a horror junkie my entire life. But it wasn't until I was probably about a senior in high school, was I really discovering more obscure films, especially from like the 80s, foreign films. Broadening my horizons a bit more. And I was actually on YouTube when I was in high school, and I just wanted to find, what's some of the best gory movies out there. I remember I typed in like top 10 whatever. I think I typed in like a beheading in movies, and this top 10 behead scenes came up, and I think this was number 1. And I'd never heard of this before. I'd never seen anything. Nothing whatsoever. I saw the decapitation at the end of this movie in that clip, and I was hooked. I was like, I gotta see this movie. And there wasn't a whole lot I could find on it. The little I could find was talking about how demented it was, how sleazy it was, how bloody it was. And then I got this off eBay with Silent Night, Deadly Night, because that's another movie that kept going in and out of print. But now there's, I think it's Arrow has the new release that's full of shit on it that I would like to get. So, got this, I read the reviews, and I didn't know what sleaze meant back then. And now I do. And like 90 minutes of total terror, and like these are the stills on the back. Pretty much from the same scene. Well, that's from the opening, but I'll get into the story. So I thought this was just like 90 minutes of non-stop murder. Like maybe a little trippy because it talked about nightmares and stuff. First time I saw this movie, I fucking hated it. I was disappointed because in my own mind, I created a big gory pedestal. And it didn't live up to it. I thought it was boring. It didn't have enough. What I wanted to see. The scene I was familiar with, the decapitation, wasn't until the very end. So I was like, fuck this movie, but I'm going to keep it because, who knows when I'll be able to get it again. And over the years, since 2010, in the last 9 years, I've rewatched it 2 or 3 times. I literally just got done rewatching it for this review. And I gotta say, I don't mind it. I mean, it has little bits that I think are incredible. I think this movie had potential. The story I mean, the story, it opens up with this guy named George Tatum, played by Baird Stafford. I don't think, you go on Wikipedia, you can't click on anybody's name, so I don't think any of these actors went on to do anything. He kind of looks like David Bowie when he makes that face. I'm just gonna look up Scavolini while I'm doing this, because I just want to see what up. I know he was a hardcore pornographic director before this. I don't know why they got him to do that. So this guy George, he's in like a mental hospital because he sexually mutilated and butchered a whole family in Brooklyn. And he's now the test subject that the government's doing. You know, you take this medication, it can take a complete psychopath and turn them into, you know, well-adjusted citizens. They can be released back into the world. Sound like another film. Clockwork Orange. Oh, Clockwork Orange is a much fucking better movie than this. This isn't going to be a rant, because I don't hate this movie. Or I don't even dislike it, but some parts I'm going to shit on it. Still not going to be a rant. Pretty much, he keeps having these recurring nightmares that we see. With this man in bed, with this dominatrix on top of him. You know, he's tied to the bed, she's slapping him. This dominatrix. No, that's her head right there. That's the guy. And the scene keeps progressing. We get little snippets, but then we find out there's a kid standing in the doorway watching him. And then the room's covered in blood. You know, he talks about his dreams. He's like, you know, sometimes I'm the man, sometimes I'm the kid, sometimes I'm watching the kid. But he gets released, and the first thing he does, he goes to a peep show. And yes, this movie is sleazy. Movies, okay, like Maniac, New York Ripper, and hell, even though it's not related, I'll still say Taxi Driver. When he goes into the porno theater in Taxi Driver. Or the whole movie of Maniac and New York Ripper and this. You feel like you want to take a shower after. That's how sleazy it is. That peep show is fucking disgusting. You know, when I think of peep shows or porno theaters in New York, especially in the 80s or the 70s, fucking ugh. You know, you can get, I feel like my TV's gonna get gonorrhea. But anyway, that sort of sexual nature of that place sort of triggers everything in his mind, and it undoes the whole thing. So now he's on this 6-day trek to get from New York to Daytona, Florida, where we don't know this until literally the last scene of the movie, but there's this family there. Now, there's a single mom who has 3 kids. 2 girls and a young boy. The boy's probably 6 or 7. His name is CJ. And CJ is one of the most rotten little pieces of shit kids I've ever seen in a movie, not just horror. This kid, he loves pranking and scaring people. The mother, you feel bad for her. She's always screaming and, CJ. And you feel bad for her. Because literally, she screams at him to cut the shit, and he just goes and sets up his next prank. You know, we keep cutting back and forth between George and this family. So George, he kills a woman in her apartment, just stabs her, gets some blood, takes her car, he makes his way. And, you know, then, like, the doctors had this computer that's kind of like on John Carpenter's The Thing. You ask it a question, it gives you the probabilities. Finds out he has this car, and he's making his way down south. And then, you know, finds out it belonged to a woman that's presumed dead, so they think he's pretty much snapped again. And basically, you know, we keep getting scenes of him having nightmares. He calls his psychiatrist. He's always in his underwear, and he's always, like curled up, and it's always the same dream. It's the same dominatrix scene. And, you know, just focusing on the family. You know, CJ won't stop pranking the babysitter. You know, he's after the family because he keeps making phone calls with either heavy breathing or saying, you know, I'm coming, or I'm gonna see you, or whatever. And then, you know, he finally gets to Florida, and CJ by this point is just the boy who cried wolf. They even reference that in this. Because he says he sees this man that's following him. They don't believe him. And all it is just a build up to the end. I've been saying that a lot in reviews lately, but that's because it's true. I mean, I've said that for... I didn't really say that for Maniacs. Maniacs is actually a really good movie. You know, The Burning, I said that. Phenomena, I said that. Suspiria, I said that. But those are all still better movies. This had potential because, you know, the gore scenes at the end, which I'll get to, the acting wasn't terrible. I mean, the kid was annoying, but he was supposed to be. He did what he had to do. The mom's dating this sort of hippie guy. You know, he looks like either like Tommy Chong or Al Pacino in Serpico, who keeps trying to make the peace with the whole family. And then, you know, there's one scene where George has made it to Florida, and there's this old dilapidated house. And CJ's friend Tony, who's also like 6 or 7, and this older girl, she's jogging. They play hide and seek in this house. And the girl gets killed. See, this movie's just forgettable. Because I'm already forgetting what I saw. He kills her, but it's off screen. Oh, that's why I couldn't remember, 'cause it's off screen. Then the friend goes in there because he thinks CJ's in there. He walks into this one room and like a mirror falls and she's all bloody sitting in a chair. And then we see a shadow behind him, show George coming near him. The boy gets killed. And you know, any movie that kills a young kid's kind of ballsy. I just wish it was CJ because you want to see this kid get it. Spoiler alert, he doesn't. And you know, each day there's a caption. It's like the 3rd day, the 4th day, then the 6th day is the final day. The mother finally gets the babysitter to do one more night of babysitting. CJ promised to be good, and she has her boyfriend over, or the boyfriend comes over. They have sex, but while George is sort of walking from room to room, looking at all the kids, he watches them have sex. He goes to smoke a joint. He gets killed. He gets garroted with a wire. He took one of CJ's Halloween masks. And then the babysitter comes in, is yelling at him like, CJ, I told you to go to bed. This guy's like over 6 feet tall. CJ's like 6 or 7 years old. So he comes up and he has a rock pick. And when he hits her with it, I mean, that's really the start of the gore. And it's like the last 12 minutes of the movie. Great slow motion, thick blood coming out. CJ comes downstairs, sees it, wakes up his siblings. And I gotta call bullshit on this. Now, not because what it takes to kill him, but how he got killed. CJ goes in his mother's room and picks up a 6-shooter. You do get this great shot of like down below, looking up like this angle shot of George. He's wearing like a suit with this ugly old man Halloween mask. He has a rock pick and he's hitting the door. And of course, this DVD is not cleaned up at all. So it looks like a gritty, grainy, sleazy piece of shit VHS type quality, but I love that look. I love the grit. Like, I love when you can see the lines and the imperfections of the film. I think that shit works out perfectly. So then he makes a big enough hole so he can reach through. CJ just shoots him in the arm. Okay. And then through the hole, he shoots him 5 more times and never misses. Now, I am not anti-gun. I actually think anti-gun people piss me off. I love guns. I'm very fond of them. And I'm a very big advocate for teaching your children gun safety at a young age. But knowing what this kid is like and what the mother is like in their relationship, I don't think she ever taught him how to use a gun. So I'm calling bullshit on how this kid never misses. And then, you know, they go downstairs, go to a neighbor's house. George gets up. He shoots him again. Because once he makes sure his siblings are leaving, he goes back in. And then he goes in his room, and the guy's yelling like, CJ, you don't understand. And he picks up a shotgun, or a rifle, rather, and shoots him 2 more times. He shot him a total of 6 times, didn't miss once. And the kid's like 6 or 7. And I'm willing to bet he's never picked up a gun in his life. It's a nitpick, but, you know, in a movie like this, I mean, I could bitch about a lot of things. Like, the lack of gore, the, you know, nightmares, I don't know. That just struck me as, okay, I don't know why that bothers me, but it does. So then as George is dying, that's when he has the full, uninterrupted dream that we've been seeing throughout the whole film. You find out that he, in fact, is the boy in the dream. Comes home from school, goes upstairs, sees his father being dominated by another woman. And then we get this long-ass scene where he walks all the way down the stairs, all the way down the steps, all the way across the yard, into the shed, grabs an axe, and then repeats all the way up. You do get this great shot. So, like, the dominatrix is here. She's straddling him. She leans down. George is standing there, and he picks up the axe just as she comes back up, and he hits her in the neck. The sound effect is that of a whip. I don't know why, but it's like, whoosh, whatever. And then when he hits her again, you know, she goes off screen, but then when she you see the head fly off, which is great. When she comes back in screen, headless, it's just, the stump looks amazing. Thick, slow motion, flowing blood everywhere, and like the hands writhing. Looks beautiful. Looks amazing. And it just, in that sleazy, grainy quality of the picture, to me, that's beautiful. To me, I think that looks awesome. And then, you know, young George hacks the shit out of her. And then, you know, he kills his dad with one to the head. And then there's that long scene where he's just looking at himself. You know, the kid is, like, from here down, completely red. Soaked in blood all over his face. And he's just, like, staring at himself in the mirror. Then the cops come, they take George's body out, and then that's when we're supposed to have the revelation of, oh, that, because we hear the mother talks about, you know, I hate this house, I've left it ever since he left, the day after CJ was born. But I guess they want you to not put the connection that this is her ex-husband. So she's screaming, that's my husband, that's my husband. And then it cuts back and forth between young George in the bedroom still, sort of licking blood off his fingers. Then it cuts to CJ in the back of a cop car. He smiles and winks for whatever reason. I don't know why. And that's the end of the movie. That whole end sequence where he kills his dad and the other woman is the best part of the movie. When he kills the babysitter, that's just a plus, because that looks really good. But all the other deaths, there's really not much to them, and they're few and far between. It's mostly just a build-up of, you know, seeing George on his journey and having nightmares, and just this kid terrorizing his family with pranks and jokes and stories. Like when they find his friend's body, they come and get CJ to identify him. And I know kids do this. I've seen them do it, and it's so fucking annoying. Like, just grab a hold of him. You know, he's asking him, like, you know, did you see Tony today? Did you see him at the house? Did you see anybody with him? Did you see... And he's just standing like... Oh. Why don't you ask my other friends? You know, like, nobody believes you because you're not fucking saying anything. Like, I understand, 6, 7 years old, you're probably scared, but it's fucking police. Just make him fucking answer. And that scene just annoyed me. Just kids, and they pulled that. It's fucking annoying as shit. But yeah, the gore effects, the best thing going for this, especially just that end scene. Now, in the credits, it says special makeup effects done by Tom Savini. Tom Savini went on a year later, I think it was the following year, to say, I had nothing to do with that movie. But, you know, other people kept saying, yes, he did. He was asked to be a consultant. He said, I had no involvement in this whatsoever. And then someone even presented photographs of him on the set. And then they're like, well, he didn't do the effects, we just wanted him to be a consultant. So, I don't know, maybe Tom Savini is just an honest man and didn't want to take credit for it. Or maybe he was just ashamed. Could be. I mean, I think Tom Savini is a great guy. I mean, I've never met him. He seems like a great guy. If he didn't do it, he probably didn't want credit for it. But, you know, just a little... You would think they would have edited that out. I don't know if actual good DVDs, like the 30th anniversary or whatever, edited it out. Anyway, that's just another little thing to pick away from it. But anyway, this review went on longer than I thought it would, but yeah, really, I mean, I hated this when I first saw it. Second time, I was like, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought. Then I think it was the third time, I was like, well, it's still just the ending. This time, I found maybe because I got done watching Maniac, like, right before it. Yeah, I was just kind of underwhelmed. And it's still very forgettable. It's not a movie that sticks with you. I see why it sort of fell into obscurity. But that end scene with the dominatrix and his dad, you know, the look of the film, some of the angles they went with, the gore and the blood effects were superb in that scene. I gotta give it that. I mean, if you want to see every slasher exploitation video nasty, definitely check it out. This isn't a movie I would suggest you run out and see immediately. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't even really dislike it. Just, I don't like it that much. I mean, I love the title, Nightmares in a Damaged Brain. That's cool. I mean, Scavolini is an Italian name, and that sounds like an Italian film title. But really, since it is just a build-up to, like, the last, literally, like, I guess as a whole, 12 to 15 minutes, but that sequence with his dad is, like, the last 4 to 6 minutes. I mean, it's only 90 minutes, so it's not going to eat up a bunch of your time, but I know I'm kind of rambling at this point. The gore effects are really going for it. The acting, surprisingly, isn't that bad for how low budget and just low quality it is. But I mean, I guess you can check it out. I wouldn't say don't check it out. If you have a chance to, then yeah, go for it. But I wouldn't go out of your way. But yeah, I would say I like it alright. Glad to have it in my collection. But anyway, Room 237, that's all I have for Nightmares in a Damaged Brain, aka Nightmare. Thank you.